lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Well, some of you that watch Foundations for Life might notice that Hanok is in a place that you've seen before. This is not Barry Phillips' new look.
No,
It's actually Hanok in
it
the
is.
big city of Gloucester, Virginia. And
Yeah.
your travel goes on.
Yeah. As years ago, there was that song with the lyrics, and the beat goes
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Yeah. This
yeah.
is, I think, I could be wrong. I think I'm almost halfway through,
Okay.
a little less maybe, already disoriented. But, once again, meeting great people, trying to educate, enlighten, make a difference, expose people to the truth.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Yeah.
we we can do.
Yeah, it was good to have you here in Franklin the
My
other day,
pleasure.
and the drive back from Atlanta at midnight. I just as soon take that off my bucket list of things to do. Okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I hear you
But it
totally.
worked out just fine. We had a great
Great.
time out at Moss Memorial Baptist Church with Pastor Charlie and that group. What's great questions out there?
Yeah, and I remember that from a year ago too.
Yeah,
Their group is exposed to the news, they're educated, they have a background, they have a real interest.
yeah.
So that was special.
They really do. Well, hey, catch us up on what's going on in the land of Israel. There's a
Okay,
lot
well,
going on. I know that.
first of all, last night after we had our event at House of David, we're back at the house, and then my phone begins making a weird sound. Um, and I had to explain that that's the early warning
Hmm.
that within the next 5 to 10 minutes, a missile will be approaching Modi'in. Um, so that's the Houthis, and
Yeah,
that continues to go on. Um, the news in general, of course, the big thing in the last week is the slaughter of Druze and Christians in Sueda in southern Syria. And astoundingly, but not surprisingly, astoundingly though, the world doesn't care.
no,
And it appears, based on certain leaks, that people within the Trump administration are very frustrated that Israel kind of upset the apple cart. America had this vision that Syria was going to be a new pal, and that Jolani, the jihadi that runs Syria, who America had a $12 million bounty on his head until December because of his Al Qaeda ISIS leadership, um, seemed to be upset that we in Israel were bombing the Syrian army. Well, we were
yeah,
bombing the Syrian army because they're slaughtering Druze and Christians.
yeah. You're saving lives, which nobody else cares about, but
Yeah.
because you're doing it, you're in the wrong. This goes to your whole presentation. That no matter what you do as Israel, as Israelis, as Jews, you're always wrong. Hanok, you guys have got that down perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
You're terrible at genocide, but at getting things wrong, you got it good.
It is astounding. It is astounding. It really is beyond belief. But other elements, um, you know, every once in a while someone will ask, so, is Israel drafting the Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox? I heard they are. I heard, this. And I keep saying ain't gonna happen.
Hmm.
I said, no, but I saw, and I said, I don't know what you're seeing and who put up what you're seeing, but it's not happening. In fact, the guy that has been insisting that the Haredi draft, the ultra-Orthodox draft, goes forward, and it's not an all-inclusive draft, even if it would happen,
Hmm.
is a member of Knesset, Yuli Edelstein. Yuli Edelstein was a hero from the former Soviet Union.
Okay.
Okay? But he is now being pushed out of his position within the Likud party. Of course, by Netanyahu, who wants a deal with the ultra-Orthodox parties so he can remain in power.
Hmm.
This is, it's really, really basic. It's really, really basic. So that's not happening. Um, what is my government's vision for Gaza? No idea,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they remain being unable to articulate what it might mean. Now, I understand it's complicated, but when does this end? Um, the Trump administration keeps announcing there's gonna be 10 freed hostages. Is it like the old expression when I was a kid, the check's in the mail? I
Hmm.
mean, is something happening? Is something, why only 10 hostages? How many more are left? We know there's less than 10 left after try this in English. We know there's less than 20.
Yeah. 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 And then you
Um,
have this. I mean, I'd be glad to give Netanyahu a way to fix this. Okay, that's no problem. I can do this in less time than Trump can, but he's probably not going to take my advice in this. Then you have things like this report of a church was bombed. Now, in American news, this is a church that Pope Francis called every day. That's why he called him every day to make sure they were okay. Somehow I'm thinking that's a lie. Okay. And by the way, this is war and Israel didn't start it. There
no,
was one way to have, 895 IDF soldiers still alive today. All of these, whatever number of Palestinians alive today, to have not a single building destroyed, is that on October 8th of 2023, Hamas could have said, that was stupid. That was stupid. Here's all the people back. We're sorry for those that have, were killed and raped and all these other things. But I know Israel politics enough. Israel would have said, okay, whatever. Am I far off on that?
okay, you'd have to clarify what you mean by Israel would have said whatever.
The political part of Israel would have said, okay, well, just don't do it again. I think Netanyahu would have probably now the
No,
pressure that he would have gotten from other people would have caused him to have to do something. That
the
that's about how much respect I have for him.
the civilian losses and casualties could not have been overlooked. They could
Yeah,
it was too severe, and Hamas never would have reconsidered because this was the plan.
yeah.
It wasn't inadvertently that they crossed the border and, stubbed their toe kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's what is a miracle is that Hezbollah never entered fully.
Hmm.
And by the time they were ready to, we had already struck.
Yeah.
We had already defanged them. By Hezbollah not being able to support the Assad regime in Syria, their whole situation changed, enabling us in striking Iran to be able to fly directly over Syria, having taken out their air defenses. So there's so much going on. And already the question is with Syria, what's happening with Turkey? Turkey is their patrons now. Turkey is a powerful country. Turkey is a NATO country.
Hmm.
Um, President Trump himself has been quiet
Yeah.
about Syria. So, what's really going on? We don't know. I take this as a real flare in the air, uh, with this idea that all of a sudden we can be pals with Syria. Um, this is it's a very serious situation. And
Hmm.
meanwhile, Iran is announcing they've already gotten the anti-aircraft missiles from China, and they're prepared for this and they're prepared for that, and they refuse to end the idea of nuclear enrichment.
Hmm. Now, let me take you a different place. settler violence. Now, first of all, you know that I have an issue with the word settler.
Yep.
I don't think that the word settler should ever be used. We're not talking about go west, young man,
Yeah.
and those that settled the west of the United States. This is people that live in communities, in cities,
Absolutely.
in Israel that have been building the land. You know, you look at Har Brachah, the amount of building that's going on for since I've been going there for 13 years now. I
Right.
mean, it's overwhelming to me how much building has been done, how many new people have come in, the industry, the vineyards, all of those things, of course, with the help of Hayavel. Um, to call these people settlers is an absolute insult. This is, in my
Agreed.
opinion, the same insult. This is a farther insult than calling Judea Samaria the West Bank,
Yeah.
because this
This
is
is much
about
worse.
people.
Absolutely.
This is about people. And so to call, friends of ours that we know they're settlers is just stupid. My question is this. Let's say I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing for the program a little bit. Let's say that October 7th, 2023, that a group of people from Central America had come across the Mexico border and had kidnapped, raped, pillaged, all that kind of stuff in Texas. Uh, you know, what would have happened? Well, let's say that up north in Canada, that a group of whoever had come across the Canadian border into Montana. How much violence do you think would have been done, Hanok?
See, that's the whole thing. We're held to a totally separate standard. The entire world can do one
Mhm.
thing. We can now, again, as we've discussed, wow, I think it was a few months ago, the numerical equivalent in the United States for the 1,200 plus people that were slaughtered, men, women, and children, horrifically, brutally, gang raped, burned alive, the whole thing, the American equivalent would have been about 44,000. 44,000 Americans slaughtered. You would best believe that the might of the United States of America would have been unleashed.
Hmm.
And no one in the world would have said anything about it. To
No.
this day, no one knows how many civilians, legitimate civilians in Iraq or Afghanistan were killed
Mm-mm.
during the time of the American involvement there. No one knows. And ultimately no one cares because
Yeah.
there weren't any Jews to blame. It was America.
I would say that the only way that this has happened, that there has not been some kind of slaughter in the Arab communities of Judea Samaria, is because on the other side it is Jews. To get these people, and you and I know some of them personally. I've been, we've been in their homes. I've spent extended time with them. I've
Sure.
had dinner. Everything. To say that these people are violent, the level of violence you have to go to bring out even a response from them. When you're sitting there at your Shabbat dinner in the hills of Samaria, and you're saying a blessing over your wife, over your children. You're breaking, you're eating your challah bread, drinking a glass of wine, and all of a sudden there's rocks that come through your window. And you're supposed to say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" Where is outside of San Francisco, where is that accepted in the world?
We're living in incredible times. We're living at a time where much of the world has turned upside down, where it's not information and facts, but rather it's narrative.
Yeah.
It's rather a catchy jingle that a paid demonstrator, a paid demonstrator, leader, organizer, taskmaster, whatever, is able to, read the lyrics off their phone and the world accepts it. There is a report that Israel set a church on fire in Taibe. It's
Hmm.
not true, but doesn't matter. You've already, you've got Mike Huckabee, who all of a sudden is showing a different side, and talking about, how, you know, uh, again, and the term settler is like kike, dirty Jew. I mean, it is the most revolting
Hmm.
term because it's saying that someone in our country is illegitimate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
With Huckabee is propagating the narrative.
yeah,
He is propagating the lie. That what happened with that fire. I've been at Har
yeah,
Bracha when myself, a bunch of the Israel, the Hayavel guys, we were there.
yeah.
I've been out there just outside of the Hayavel base, and two times, one in the morning, one in the evening, we had to go and put out a fire that
Yeah.
was set by Arabs. One of them was really funny. The guy he didn't realize that when he set the fire in the olive grove, it belonged to his uncle.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
so we were able to do this. Interesting, the next day is the paper in Israel said Harbor residents put out
Yeah.
fire. And I went to Tommy and I said, I want my card. I want my ID. I'm now an Israeli. And they never have given me that.
It is astounding. Um, but the rot, the Jew hatred at the core of society around the world, particularly in the Western countries, um, goes on. One little bit, this morning as I got up, I saw there was a story that there is a cruise ship, um, more than, I don't remember if it was 1,000 or 2,000, I think it was 2,000 Israelis off Greece, and there was an island that they were supposed to disembark on. Tourists and shop and do whatever. But they couldn't because there were 150 quote unquote Palestinian, that's according to the news report, demonstrators.
Wow.
So, and again, but here I am in Los Estados Unidos, the United States of America. So you were with me, and I'm all excited about all these. I have, well, I had 8 new speaking engagements. I'm no longer counting the one in Minnesota where they were concerned, the evangelical church, because they were afraid of anti-Semitic violence. So one of my engagements in Iowa, in Des Moines, the state capital, was canceled because they were concerned about reprisals for providing a platform for a Jewish speaker. Now, pause this recording and go back and replay what I just said.
Hmm.
It wasn't a speaker from Israel, it wasn't an Israeli, it wasn't a Zionist speaker, it was a Jewish speaker,
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
So, this is the world we're living in. It's astounding. It's really, really astounding. Um,
One of your slides said if you to give an idea to people that are coming to your or people that should be, and you will have this out later on the internet, but we know you and I know the reasons
maybe,
why. Yeah, probably.
maybe.
Yeah. But one of your slides says if you wondered what you would do in Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s or in
Yeah,
other places,
yeah.
what you're doing now is what you would have done then. Okay.
And and the idea of pulling back and casting Jews around the world into the category of other. I'm not
Hmm.
going to worry about that.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that particular slide because even during the Shoah, there were Germans, not many, but there were Germans that helped save Jews. There were.
Hmm.
Contrast that to Gaza, where not a single Gazan out of 2.2 million Gazans helped any of the hostages,
Yeah.
whether Israeli, Thai, from Nepal, Bedouin Muslims, no one. The government of Israel offered $1 million and passage out of Gaza, not a
Mhm.
single taker. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Gaza, do you know that the population of Gaza has increased by over 2% since the start of the war, October 7th, 2023?
I do because I went to your presentation. Hey, let me give you a stat here on this. This is from Josh Waller at the Nashville Congress, the Israel Summit. 1 out of 14,000 Christians in Germany got involved. 1 out of 14,000. There were estimated 4 million, and only 28,000 did anything.
Which is 28,000 more than occurred in Gaza.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Astounding.
Hey, I need to ask you about the narrative because it's on the news now. The people killed at the food aid thing in Gaza. I don't know if you watch any of American news. I watch just enough of it
Yeah.
just to make myself sick and to yell at the television. Um, if you just say 100 Gazans or 100 Palestinians, term of error, were killed, and you don't say anything else, well, it's obvious that that was the IDF that did that. Um, what's the story coming out of this?
The truth doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think back to the early days of the war, it said an Israeli airstrike took out a hospital in Gaza, 500 dead.
Hmm. Hmm.
And again, I remember mentioning at the time, based on my experience of having been in New York at the time of 9/11, there's no way instantly you can know how many people were killed.
No.
Then it turned out it wasn't an Israeli airstrike, but rather it was a missile coming from Gaza to Israel that fell short.
Hmm.
And then it didn't hit the hospital, but it took out their parking lot. But in the eyes of the world, the 500 dead never changed.
The thought of an IDF soldier, and I've met many of them through the years, not just since October 7th. I've met many IDF soldiers. We used to be able to take our tours onto IDF bases
Yeah, years ago.
until the days that, the Europeans and the liberals and stuff were using that as a way to uh, for further propaganda. I actually have a picture of me with the helmet on, sitting in the driver's seat of a tank. I asked the guy for the keys. He's like, "No, I don't think so." But I've known enough of these. Again, it's war. Things happen, emotions, adrenaline, everything's going on. But the idea in my mind of a group of Gazans going toward a truck to get food and supplies, and an IDF soldier or IDF soldiers opening fire on 100 people that are going to get food is far beyond the capabilities of my mind.
But everyone, all of the world bodies in the UN have ignored the fact that they saw Hamas and the other terrorists stealing the food and then selling it and using that money to pay their terrorists fighters.
Yeah.
Because, money from Iran is not flowing in the way it did before. Money from Qatar is not flowing in the way it did before. We've been able to stop that or reduce it dramatically. But the world doesn't care. If you can blame the Jew, if you can demonize the Jew, and that's why Jews can be shot down in the street of Washington, D.C., or burned alive in Boulder, Colorado, and no one really cares.
Exactly. Again, as your slide said, if a person's asking themselves, what would I have done during the days of the Shoah, the Holocaust?
Yeah.
All you have to do is look and ask
Look what you're doing
yourself,
now.
what are you doing now? What have you been doing now? And what you're doing is what you would have done. And the
Sure enough.
outcome, depending on what we're doing today, the outcome is, kind of the narrative continues on.
Right.
Well, according to my timing, Hanok, you have about 30 minutes to get out of that chair.
I
And
can do that.
yeah,
I'm a
and let
little stiff today, but yeah, I can do that in 30 minutes.
let Barry take over. So
Absolutely.
yeah, enjoy the rest of your time. If anyone, you're listening to this and you're like, I cannot believe that somebody canceled Hanok because he's a Jew. Well, let me give you an idea. Go on to ColeYehuda.com and send a donation as your revolt. Just send a donation and say, this is where I stand. How's that for a challenge?
I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, all right, man.
Take care. Talk
Where you,
soon.
where you going to be next week?
Um, Colorado,
Okay.
Iowa,
Yeah.
and then back to Colorado on the western side.
Okay. All right. You'll enjoy it up there. I got good friends up in that area. All right.
See
Take
y'all
care.
soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.